was Canada's youngest winemaker when I was 23.
Well, he didn't because he was dry January.
Yes.
Oh, his loss.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
So you guys are, other than me, are the first ones to taste this.
I like the way you talk about wine.
Yeah.
There's some real passion there.
Yeah.
We're not even saying anything. I'm just like,
It's probably the most humbling profession you can have. You are a farmer, you're an agriculturalist, you're a steward of the land and of this wine. You see it in the glass. So, it's passion, love, but it's also like an extension of parenting, if you will.
Some of the lingo you're using, I'm like trying to like take mental notes. I'm like, I haven't heard that word before.
And then you're like losing sleep and like, oh my God, what did I screw up? Or what? And then all of a sudden, then I like 2 days go by, you open it, I'm like, oh, there you are again. And so that's what they call like bottle shock. And that kind of goes on. And it's a game that the wine plays with the winemaker. Could be teenage angst, if you will. Cheers. I was smelling the microphone.
All right.
It's like the one that's socially acceptable
I didn't
no
know
matter
that
what
so
time
many.
of day.
I didn't know
I think
so many
breakfast
people
is
were
pushing
drinking
it.
in the morning.
At least I have to kind of find that balance between what I like and what I think customers can slowly appreciate and build that way. But that resonated with me. And it's very true because your wine is only as good as the food that you have, and your food is only good as your wine. And like cured meats, I'm not going to use charcuterie because we really just, I'm an East Side girl from Welland. Charcuterie is just like our lunch. Mom made us our kielbasa and our cheese flavor. It's lingering, and you're like these people are so lucky. They've got like 200-300 years on us where they've just naturally figured out and let the land guide them to their food and wine pairings, right? With their local cheeses and that. And so we're getting there. I still think we have a lot of work to do. We have to stay focused. I know it's really exciting to explore and maybe try new things. And that's how you learn. But I think we have to just like, when we find what works here in Niagara, okay, well, this works really well. Well, why do we got to be like B-rated? Why can't we be
All right, welcome to the Wine Stuff and Wine Podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Perry. Across the table, we got Evan McDonald and Jesse McDonald. Today, we have a very special guest, Lydia Tomek. Welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it.
It's a pleasure.
It was great to get to know you off camera there a little bit. So I'm sure we got a ton of stuff to talk about. But why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
My name's Lydia Tomek, and I'm the head winemaker at Ravine Vineyard and Estate Winery. I'm a homegrown girl, and I've been making wine professionally for just shy of 20 years.
Wow.
And I'm pickled in wine. I'm actually 80 years old. No, I'm joking. I started winemaking when I was Canada's youngest winemaker when I was 23. My first vintage was with Hillebrand, which is now Trius. And ever since then, I've been just sort of working around. And I'm going to be doing my 20th vintage next year. And I'm with the lovely folks at Ravine Vineyard. And it's wonderful because we get to make wine on an organic estate, and there's something really special about the place, and hopefully you guys will be able to taste that.
Awesome. That's great. So then, because we had Ravine, does anybody remember the grape for vintage? We had 3 times on the podcast. Somebody brought it.
yeah, it turns out everyone loves Ravine.
Yeah, everybody loves Ravine.
The Gammy? The Cap Franc. The Cap Franc, yes.
Yeah.
I got it. No, sorry. I had it as 2 Christmas gifts.
Oh.
It was amazing. We brought it out at a Christmas dinner, and it was fantastic.
Cap Franc is a varietal that everyone is starting to really appreciate, and Niagara and Ontario is showcasing that it really can be our, red night, if you will. It does so well, and it's versatile. And at Ravine, we actually make it in many styles. We use it sometimes in our rosés. We make a sparkling rosé using Cab Franc. It's also done at different tiers. So we have our reserve Cab Franc, we have an ice wine Cab Franc, and we have 2 special blocks on our properties. So it is our red varietal that we have a lot of pride in, and we grow really well on our site, which tends to be a little warmer, being on the St. David's Bench, and captures a lot of fruit and just it's so complex and layered, and so that's a good gift if you got it.
Yeah.
Do you know which one you got? Did you get the Lana's block or Nancy's block, or was it the regular?
Oh,
I don't remember.
now we're getting into the
Stacey got
details.
me one.
Yeah.
Stacey got me one. Joe Pilitary got me one. And then we drank it on the Joe Pilitary podcast, I think.
Oh,
Yeah, I
cool.
think so.
Yeah. Well, he didn't because he was dry January.
Yes.
Oh, his
Well,
loss.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Yeah. All right. Well, this is the Wine Stuff and Wine podcast.
It is.
Where we have some wine, talk about some stuff, then we have some more wine.
Good.
So you brought us a couple bottles here. You can tell us why these are special to you or what they mean to you, and then let's try them. Let's see what's up.
It just so happens that this was literally delivered to the winery. We just bottled and disgorged this, our new vintage of Ravine Brut. It's sparkling wine made in the traditional manner. It's aged and bottled for 5 years, which we really have a lot of pride and are proud that we're able to do that. Made from Chardonnay and Pinot Noir. And we disgorged it on Monday, and so the finished product came in, and I tasted it, and I love it.
Wow.
I played around with the dosage a little bit, and it's very elegant. And so you guys are, other than me, are the first ones to taste this.
Oh,
And
now we're
then this week we're doing a sneak peek for our wine club members. We always try and do something special for them, and this weekend we are giving them the opportunity to taste and purchase a few of our 2021 whites. And this one is a wine that is probably one of my favorites to work with on the property. And it's the Patricia's Block Riesling. The reason why I love it so much is not only that it's organically grown, it's made from Riesling, which is my favorite grape varietal and has been just because of its purity and its versatility, and it just tastes so good. And this is just a special block where regardless of year, regardless of vintage, you're always able to capture the story of the land, the terroir, and create something consistent and world-class and just delicious. And so I was writing tasting notes this morning, and I thought, you know what, even though it was just bottled, it's still ready. Like, it's our show pony already. So I can't wait for it to sit in the bottle for a few more months and then people to really see it. So
I like the way you talk about wine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's some real passion there.
Yeah.
We're not even saying anything. I'm just like,
I felt the same way. That was great.
that's good to hear, because there's days when you're like,
Yeah.
why did I, why am I in this profession? But it truly is.
yeah, that all came right from the heart. So
Yeah.
It is a
that's
labor
good.
of love.
Yeah.
You
It
know,
is.
there is a lot of romance and intrigue and seduction when it comes to wine, but it for me, it's probably the exact opposite. It's probably the most humbling profession you can have. You are a farmer, you're an agriculturalist, you're a steward of the land and of this wine, which is also another living thing. And your job is to, you know, everyone takes a different approach as to how they decide to make wine, but my job is to make sure that I'm showing its best. So I want to give it all the tools, I want to put in all the love and sacrifice in order to make it something that, you know, the hardworking paying customer can take home and enjoy and always feel that that value is being exceeded. And it's hard. It's hard to do that. Yeah. It's hard to do that in Canada with our climate, but that doesn't mean it's not achievable. It really is. And, you know, a lot of people maybe lost sleep and got a few gray hairs. I haven't dyed my hair in a while, so I have a few. But 2021 was a really tough year.
Yeah.
But this goes to show it doesn't matter. We're still kicking ass. We're still making world-class wines, and it's all about timing. And, you know, I'm also proud that I'm a graduate from Brock University. And so that, along with 20 years experience, have given some really good tools and developed that sort of instinct as to when to call the pick and what decisions to make in the cellar so that you see it in the glass. So, yeah, it's passion, love, but it's also like an extension of parenting, if you will.
Yeah, I can see that.
And, you know, these are all your little babies, and they all deserve your attention and love. And, you know, they're only as good as what you put into them.
All right. So can we try it?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Sorry, I'm going on and on, but the other reason why I wanted to bring the Brut is whenever you do a tasting, it's always great to start off with bubbles for so many reasons. It's very, you know, it's celebratory, but it also serves a purpose, and it also cleans your palate. The French could say it's your rince bouche, and you sort of let the wine do the work for you. You don't have to swirl it in your glass. You let the bubbles work its magic, scrub your little taste buds clean, and excite them and kind of prime them for your next few wines. And so hopefully this one will do the trick. Now, the one thing about when you freshly disgorge or cork sparkling wine is that it's very tough to get the cork out. So this is going to be pretty funny. And we'll see how long this takes. But the reason is I'll show you. When you take a cork out, it has a really funny shape. It kind of looks like a little mushroom. Yeah. Well, the reason is because it's actually a big cork, and you're compressing it down, and it goes into that bottle, and the pressure from the wine actually creates that sort of triangle, conical shape on it.
So they're originally just like a normal cork looking?
That's it. They don't look like this. So we'll see what the memory of this cork is going to be.
The terminologies are great.
And so the other thing is when you open cork, you open sparkling, you always want the wine to whisper. Usually people want to shake it and hear that pop. But you kind of want to just gently, Ooh. I was almost there. That wasn't too bad.
That was a good one, though.
But there, see? You can kind of see it's still fresh, right? So it's still
cool. Yeah.
Interesting.
Kind of cool, huh?
Yeah. Some of the lingo you're using, I'm like trying to like take mental notes. I'm like, I haven't heard that word before.
Sorry, I'm making a mess.
No, that's okay.
I'll pour some for you.
So we're the first to try this, other than you.
Yeah. Wow. So this is like my
wine
QC.
stuff exclusive.
Yeah. Always, whenever I do a bottling, I'll always hold back about 12 bottles, and in the course of the year, go through those 12 bottles, and a good like 25% of them are consumed in the first few weeks, because I want to study. Wine is always in flux. Wine is living. Wine is always moving, and it's sort of like just like us. It's just trying to find that equilibrium, and it's really funny depending on the day or the week or what this wine's been through or how happy it is in the bottle. When you open it, you're capturing it at a different sort of snapshot of its life. Yeah. And there'll be a day where you're smelling it and you're like, where the hell's all the fruit? What's going on? It's so close, or I never smelt this. And then you're like losing sleep and like, oh my God, what did I screw up or what? And then all of a sudden, I like 2 days go by, you open it, I'm like, oh, there you are again. And so that's what they call like bottle shock. And that kind of goes on. And it's a game that the wine plays with the winemaker. Could be teenaged angst, if you will, for a good 6 months till it just kind of figures itself out. And so with sparkling, I always find day one is a good reflection of what the wine is. And then a week later it changes, but this is still pretty fresh.
Yeah. So what day is this one again, sorry?
This was disgorged on Monday and Tuesday. Oh, okay, nice. So today is Thursday.
Amazing.
So yeah, just 2 days old.
Very nice. Let's get cheers.
Yeah, cheers.
I was smelling the microphone.
I just do it for the sound.
I wonder if Mike can hear the bubbles. And the other really cool and probably like fun thing about bubbles is that it's a wine where all of your senses are being stimulated, right? You have sound, you have feel, you have all those vision, you see your sight, and taste. And
interesting.
That's another really good way to get the day started. Breakfast is always recommended. No, get the your.
It's funny how many people we have on that's like, you can drink this at breakfast.
Yeah, no.
All right.
It's like the one that's socially acceptable.
I didn't
no
know
matter
that
what
so
time
many.
Of day.
I didn't know so many people were drinking in the morning.
No,
I'm not alone.
No.
I'm just joking.
But except Sundays, so
of
it's
course.
always nice for mimosas.
Oh yes,
but it's kind of funny. People will walk into the winery and it's like 9. Like I'll start early, but like I have to keep my pulse on the wines, and I have to taste, and I want to check in. And there's a lot of things that are happening throughout the year. And everyone's like, "Holy smokes, you're hitting the wine still." I'm like, "Well, I'm spitting," but then I get cheeky and I'm like, "Well, I have to have breakfast," and they're like,
I was at Silk's this morning, just having my poached eggs.
Nice.
It was like 11 o'clock, and a lady came in, and she's like, "I don't have my friend with me this morning, so I'm gonna have a Pinot Grigio." I'm like, "Yes, Niagara on the Lake, place of dreams, right?" I love it.
How much is the breakfast special now?
Okay, so I did the protein one.
Okay.
And it was $8.
Okay.
And that's 6. So 3 slices of bacon, 3 sausages, and 3 poached eggs.
That's awesome.
They're not making money there.
Well, I used to live on the Strip, like 15 years ago, and they had the $1.99 breakfast. And it was
Yes.
2 pieces of toast, 2 eggs,
yes.
hash browns, and then
And then
it
they
would
changed
go
it
up.
to $3.50.
Okay, so we're now at 350.
$3.50,
Yeah.
and you had to get there before a certain time. I think,
Yeah.
and now I think it's $4.99.
Love it.
Even still,
Still a
$5. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, this is delicious. So
It's very nice.
I'm trying to. So this is something that, as we've been doing this podcast, been trying to get like better at like being able to like assess it. So like, I don't know. I don't want to. It's tough when you're with the winemaker. I don't want to insult anybody.
No, I want you to be honest. I actually prefer tasting with people who are novice or just learning about wine, because they're the people who are paying for the product, and
Right.
they are also the majority and it's very important. Like, I think as a winemaker, yeah, I can make wine how I want, but I have to make wine towards a certain profiles, towards at least I have to kind of find that balance between what I like and what I think customers can slowly appreciate and build that way, build their palates, because it's very important as a business to be sustainable. And, who's to say that what my palate is saying is necessarily right? Like, for example, with this Brut, when you're appreciating, I want you, some people are initially caught off guard by maybe some of those like toasty, bready notes. Well, you kind of want to understand the story about, this bottle of wine, and appreciate that, there was at one time little yeast cells that were sitting in this bottle, and they slowly broke down and they released flavors into the wine. And those flavors are like of brioche or freshly baked bread. And so they're very enchanting and delicious and very hard to incorporate, and they've been incorporated naturally. And then, I think if as a winemaker, it's important to understand what consumers think. And I've been asking consumers what they think for the last 20 years. And I think the answer to making a wine that's successful, that sells out, because that's what I want. I want a wine that sells out. Get it out. I want you to enjoy it, and I want to pay the bills and be able to do this again next year. That's because it is a very like tough game. But when you make wine with balance, I think right there you're hitting the majority. And when something is balanced, it makes it a little more welcoming in everyone to kind of be able to appreciate and break down. And then from the balance, then you can get to like the nitty gritty and break it down. So, with this sparkling, I really want to make sure my bubbles are persistent. I want to make sure that, it's still dancing in your glass after you've opened it, for 12 hours. I want you to feel that crispness. I want it to be dry. I want it to be fresh, but I don't want it to be necessarily searing, because not everybody wants that searing, fresh, puckering experience. And so, like, tell me what you think. I've also played around with something on this wine.
Well, the one thing that I'm getting, I got like a bit of an apple taste feel, and but it does have like, the pucker is like not like a strong pucker, but there's a bit of a pucker.
Yeah.
So I got a bit
Is that
of
maybe
sour.
because it's so fresh?
Well, that's because I want it dry. So that's the thing. So when I'm finding that sweet spot, I look for balance, and then I just want to cut it just a little back and give you that reminder of like fresh acidity and crispness and cleanliness. And the reason why I want to do that is because not everything needs to have sugar, and acidity is a very beautiful thing. But the most important reason is it makes it food friendly. And my sort of philosophy, and I always quote this woman. I love her. I used to be her TA for 3 years, but I when I was 18 and studying at Brock and just trying to figure this all out, I enjoyed going and attending Linda Bramble's classes. She's like a pioneer. And, it was so exciting to listen to her speak about wine. But the thing that just kind of really welcomed me and just kind of took a load off me and made me excited to learn was she would always just start the class off with something so simple as she'd hold up her class. She'd be like, "Oh, okay, guys." And she was like so nice, and she just, soft spoken and giggled or whatever. But she would always start off the class. "So it's time for us to do our toast. And I just wanted to let everyone know, like, cheers, and remember that the definition of food is wine and the definition of wine is food." And then everyone was like, "Oh, here." And I like, but that resonated with me. And it's very true, because your wine is only as good as the food that you have, and your food is only good as your wine. And you can go home and make a meal and, pick out a bottle from whatever, your local wine shop. And that $20 bottle or $40 bottle, it can be completely elevated to like a $60 bottle experience if you have the right components in front of you and the right food. And how that happens and how that marriage happens is how your wine chemistry works with the food. And the moment you have that acidity, it seems to be a little more forgiving and help carry it. And it also like celebrates the food and wine more. And so that's a really long answer that I just gave you, but that's kind of like what I'm thinking when finding. And Brut is that. Brut is your first one. That's your passage. So you want to have that quenching. You want your mouth to sweat a little bit. Yeah. But I don't want the enamel to fall off your teeth. Right? So that's sort of like the idea behind it.
Yeah, you got a bit of like in your cheekbone there. Mm-hmm. But it's doing that. Like now it's like I want something else. Or something or more. You know what I mean? Like it's like
exactly. It's telling you, take a piece of that cheese. Or like kiss your partner, or like, you know what I mean? Like it is. It's making you work. It's exciting you. It's making you sweat, salivate, but it's not aggressive in it. And so but the scale can be tipped so easily where that can be too much.
Like now I want to go take a nice dinner at Silk's.
Yeah.
And
but you know
drink
what?
some my own Ravine wine. See where the night goes.
Yeah, but and sometimes like the sort of chemistry or the way you can play with your food dishes and your wine can be something as simple as like the amount of salt you sprinkle on something, or the amount of salt present, or the amount of fat. And like going back to this class, a really cool sort of aha moment was when I saved up enough money and I'm like, I'm going to go buy myself this beautiful, intense Barolo, and I'm going to enjoy it after midterms. And I remember, I spent a lot. I put it in a decanter and I had a glass, and I was like, well, this is like a little bit too much. And, I was still kind of novice in developing, and I loved and I knew how to appreciate, but it was very drying. It was a lot. And I'm like, maybe I should have waited and let this, age in the bottle. But then I had like some Parmesan cheese and fresh bread, and my friends came over and we just kind of nibbled on things and like cured meats. I'm not going to use charcuterie because we really just... I'm an East Side girl from Welland. Charcuterie is just like our lunch. Mom made our kielbasa and our cheese. Anyway, so when me and my girlfriends used to get together, we that's what we would do. We cut up the speck or the kielbasa or whatever, and take out the pickled whatever that our moms made, and enjoyed ourselves. And it was so interesting how like Mr. Parmesan cheese was like the game changer. And it's because it's a beautiful cheese, know, not the one that you get in the craft.
No, you need the aged 24 months Parmigiano.
Right? But it's beautiful because you have those little crystals in it, and the salt is there, and the fat is right, and then just having that, and then hitting that Barolo, I was like, oh my God! Now there's fruit, now there's flavor, it's lingering, and you're like these people are so lucky. They've got like 200-300 years on us where they've just naturally figured out and let the land guide them to their food and wine pairings, right? With their local cheeses and that. And so we're getting there. I still think we have a lot of work to do. We have to stay focused. I know it's really exciting to explore and maybe try new things, and that's how you learn. But I think we have to just, like, when we find what works here in Niagara, okay, well, this works really well. Well, why do we got to be like B rated? Why can't we be A plus? Why can't we be, let's, if we know that we can grow Cab Franc and Riesling and Chardonnay, like, don't just settle for, like, being all right with the average. Let's make this our show pony, our white knight, and make it the best. And then, like, let's also build our natural, our farm to table cuisine around it with what we have. But
I love that. Like, I don't think it makes sense to strive to be average in anything. So it's
exactly.
It's a great line.
Yeah.
But, like, I think you nailed it with the food, though, is that we have, like, a great, like, culinary experience here now, where, like, I think it's just evolved so much, and we've talked a lot about that, how Niagara College has had an impact on that.
Yeah.
Where, like, we've got these young kids that are experimenting, and it's the evolution of it, and now they're understanding the science behind food and wine and beer and everything else. So we've seen some incredible, even, like, one that I really like is Oddbird. It's just like,
I had it yesterday.
These guys are putting together some cool stuff, right? And it's young guys, out of Niagara College, I believe. Like, that's what I heard. I could be wrong, but just great chefs that are young and experimenting, and then you're pairing it with different local wines and stuff like that. So I think it is elevating the game in general.
It is, and then so now we've got the foundation of the education, and we have the resources of ingredients. And now I think the one thing that we're losing, like, I know passion and I know that it's very enchanting, minus the egos, we gotta really bring it back down and bring it down to, like, put more of the love in, more of the nurturing in. The best dishes that we find locally are the ones where came out of poverty, or it was like Mama or Nona had to figure out, oh my God, I got 5 kids. How are we going to do this? Well, we're going to pick the best tomatoes. We're going to grow them. We're going to make the best tomato sauce in house. We're going to figure out how are we going to feed everyone with this budget. And I feel that sort of the events of the last 2 years are going to force us to that. And I think that's what's going to separate, authenticity and success and mediocrity, because I think that's what people need, and I think that's what our bodies want. And it's wonderful. We've got all these techniques now, but then, like, let's go back down and let's realize what do people need? What can we make? What can we do to be sustainable? Where are the flavors the most? What can we do locally? Not kind of forget that, because if we do want to make an industry or have it keep growing or create our own traditions, we got to stick to something. We can't be changing all the time. And I know we're going through our growing stages, but I'm, like, at year 20 right now in the wine industry, which when I started, the wine industry was at year 25, right?
Yeah.
So I know it's 40 years, and I know other wine regions have 100 years plus invested into it. But now I'd like to think, like, okay, at year 40, 50, like, we should kind of now sift through what works, what doesn't, and now let's kill it.
Yeah.
But it's funny. It's like, okay, now we're reinventing or we're exploring this. And I don't know, as a person who loves what they do, and just, I strive to be the best or do my best and everything. That's what I want to see. Like, I want, when people come from another wine region, that they understand that we're doing and we're killing it. We're doing all varietals. We're doing Bordeaux varieties, Burgundian varietals, Germanic. We're doing ice wine. We're doing sparkling. We're doing everything, and we're doing it well. Wow. But still, like, globally, people still think of us as, an ice wine producer, or maybe the odd time, the odd aromatic white. But there's more here, and I think it's about us spreading that good news of when we kill it.
Yeah. Well, I do like what you say about, because I think you're right that in that period of time, you can figure out a lot of things and kind of get to your roots. And then you're just saying to kind of expand on your roots, not to try and continue to reinvent.
Yeah.
Right. That's cool.
So you want to try the Riesling?
Yeah, let's get into the Riesling. Should we get new glasses or are we good with these?
I don't know. I'm going with these.
Yeah, just make sure it's all gone.
Just drink it.
We can do a rinse. Do you want to do a little rinse first and then?
You're in charge here. You tell us how it's done.
Yeah.
I used to be an altar girl, so you remember. Anyway, you can wash with the water out.
Yeah.
All right, here you go. Oh, I put too much in yours. Just put a little bit, swirl it around, sip it. You got a big gulp.
I'll just drink mine up.
There you go. Swirl it around, and then you're going to wash away any residual brute in there. Yeah. And that's why I also brought these two. I also brought whites. I love reds, but I think like something that is so beautiful that we do consistently are whites. We should celebrate that we have these cooler nights, that we come from a cool climate, that we can make something consistent in like a semi-challenging environment. And Riesling is our varietal. I think Chardonnay is too. But
How long have you been at Ravine?
It's going to be 3 years.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. I started in June 2019.
Okay.
So 19 was my first vintage. So this is my third vintage.
Nice.
So I don't know if this is like a result of like starting with the Brut and making our way over, but like the Brut like stays in my mouth longer and then makes like my cheeks like tighten.
Okay.
Where this, I find the wine hits like my throat, like my tongue, and like literally just slides down my throat like velvet. And is it because we went from bubbles to this? Because it like this is like velvet, like it's like so smooth.
It's that, and it's also how this wine has sort of naturally been designed. So the one beautiful thing about Riesling is that it has so many beautiful aromatics, and depending on your site and clone, you can be more on the lemon side or the white stone, peach, appley.
Yeah, peach.
This site here is sort of like a hybrid of the two. I get tropical, but I get grapefruit and I get apple and then I get peach. And with all those different flavors, there's always one thing that's common with Riesling, and that's that backbone of acidity. It just naturally has a lower pH, a little more TA. And what that does, it also can make you pucker, and it could also make your mouth sweat or quench. But the fine balance with this is finding just the amount of residual sugar to hold back, to let it slide, to not be too much, to not be sweet, to not be high, but just enough to be pleasant and carry all those flavors, and then leave your palate kind of wanting more. And so that's sort of the vision that I've had with Patricia's Block since 2019. We pick it early, we ferment it a little to like 9% alcohol, and then the residual sugar remains. And, sometimes people will be concerned about the residual sugar, and energy can't be created or destroyed. If you've got your 17 bricks in this wine, you're destined to have so much alcohol and so much residual sugar. And whether it's an alcohol, it's still going to be metabolized. So sometimes people have like a stigma and don't want to consume it. And I think that's because maybe it's the scales tip too much to favor that sweeter side. But when you have something like this is no different than biting into like a crisp Granny Smith apple, right? And it's not, it's still elegant and it's still flavorful. And I don't know, I don't think it's too heavy. I love it. It's made from organic fruit. I find that when I make wine from organic fruit, I think I am a little bit crazy, but when I go into I feel a different vibration. I feel a different vibration from organic fruit, whether it's on my palate or how it reacts or how it grows. And the interesting thing is in 2021, a lot of people were struggling with like breakdown, and our vineyard didn't. Our skins are a little thicker. I think just kind of building up a good little biodiversity in the vineyard kind of just creates a stronger, healthier, more complete vine and berry, and it becomes a little more resilient to the environment. And so, yeah, I picked this earlier for freshness, for flavor, for acidity. And I was also watching the weather, and we brought it in. It's clean. I love it.
So this is from 2021.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
And so then, I guess from what I've heard is because we had such a wet end to our summer that's where a lot of the vineyards struggle. And so picking it early, you missed kind of that moisture. Is that?
That is it. But it just didn't let up. It just kept raining. It kept raining and raining and raining. And then there would be like small windows. Summer was really good. And then it kind of took a turn. And so if you can think of these little berries that have grown and developed, and they're like, okay, we're ready now. I'm ready to drink a little bit of water and ripen. And all of a sudden there's like all this water coming at you. It's still going to drink it up. And slowly the berries stretch, the berries split. There's humid conditions, but yeah, you just got to keep a pulse on it. And you also have to be able, it's hard though, because like sometimes when you're hand picking, there's only so many hand picking crews available. There's only so many trucks available. There's only so many tanks available. And so you have to really, be prepared and have all those logistics set in place so that you can kind of say, okay, it's coming.
Yeah.
But we're lucky we were able to do
Yeah. This is awesome.
Yeah, this has been amazing.
Yeah. I love this one.
I think we probably have our question, right, that we like to ask every guest that comes on. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
So our question that we always ask is basically, if you had to choose a date night, either an activity or where you would eat, what would you do in Niagara on the Lake? Where would you pick? Where would be your go-to?
All right. So there's a couple of things. I like the atmosphere and the vibe I get when I go to Treadwell's. It also depends on the weather and the vibes. I might also want to just go for a burger at the Prince of Wales and hang out in the book room.
Okay.
And then and have like maybe a glass of wine or a Guinness and then work
I never
my
thought
way.
of Prince of Wales to be the place to go get a burger.
Yeah, yeah.
They used to, and there's like this beautiful room that they have with like old leather couches.
Yes.
Yes.
Beautiful.
And you go there and you can, I like to graze. So I would go there and then maybe have a pint or a glass of wine. And then, because date nights are far and few, I also want to go and like go through the town and maybe like have a ride on the carriage. And it kind of sounds cheesy, but I remember doing that when we first, I haven't been on a date with my husband in a really, really long time. He started a business, COVID, everything. So I'm just trying to think of, how to get all those feels back. So yeah, I would totally have a little bite to eat. Then we'd go and have a little carriage ride. I love to go to the gazebo, so I'd make him go walk by the park, and then we'd look at the gazebo, and then we'd look at Toronto because that's where we met, and that's where I used to live. And then we'd walk back and probably stop at the Angel.
Yeah, of course.
And have another pint, and then maybe pop by at Cork's and just for another cocktail, and if I was still hungry, and and then I don't know, maybe Starbucks for a coffee because it's probably 9:00 now and I'm getting really tired, but we've got a sitter, so we gotta maximize it.
Gotta maximize it.
And then I don't know. And then we'll just drive and see wherever the lights are on and stop in, whether it's the Gatehouse or the old Garcia Sand Trap. And then maybe, or maybe at the old Rest, Stone Road Grill or Rufino's. Yeah.
That's amazing because
Very good.
you have the same mindset as me. Like on my birthday, I forget what age I turned. That doesn't matter. But it was like, what do you want to do? And I said, I want to bar hop Niagara on the Lake. They're like, you live here. Like, why do you want to do that? So we got a B&B just around the corner from the Exchange. And then,
Exchange.
right? And then I literally went, we started because my birthday's in the summer, July 31st, if you guys want to write that down, at the golf course. So that's where we started at the golf course, and you take the table right at the edge there, and you see Lake Ontario, and then you make your way. I have to go to the Angel at least twice so that I could hear the music at the end of the night. But I also like to have, my dad's a Scottishman. He actually wrote a bunch of books on pubs, and so that was his favorite pub to go to. So I always like to at least stop in there once or twice every time I'm out walking about. But it's cool. You go down to the gazebo and everything. We usually go to that little park and sit on the bench.
Yeah. And then I have my favorite house, and I'll always make him walk by. And
Which one?
Which one's that?
Yeah.
Well, there's two, but I like it was the old Trisha Romance Victorian building behind the Exchange.
Yeah, that's
and
a
then
beautiful
there's a beautiful one. I don't know if it was the old post. There's a plaque on it, but
Yes.
it's got the old red brick and it's got a beautiful black door on it.
I know which one you're talking
And it's
about.
just been so well taken care of. And then I'm like, well, maybe we don't have to live like this. Maybe I just be fine with a cottage. And then also I'll walk by and then I'll walk along the lake and next thing you know, I'll see Debbie doing some gardening, Debbie Pratt, because she's always on the, hi Debbie, and there's her cat, and there we go. But yeah,
hilarious.
so I don't know. And then you know what else is another great place? The little park area. Where I used to love to go for a walk. There's this beautiful pathway, and whether it's winter or fall and you go down it, there's just these old beautiful trees, and you walk down. And the other, I used to dream about Ranwood. I always wanted to live in there. But just going along that path on John Street, like I'm a walker and a talker, as you can tell, but that's what I love to do. Just kind of have that time to kind of take it all in and then like take in the little.
Does the ghost walks. He's
I
one
would
of
never
the
do
tours.
that. I wear a crucifix for that reason.
I'm not doing it either.
No, you won't see me
that's
there.
awesome. I like when you talk about wine and talking about date night.
Yeah.
A lot of passion in all of it. So
I love it. Yeah.
Inspired few.
It is funny though, because I feel like almost like it is fun almost to play tourist when you're basically out on date night in Niagara on the Lake. It's almost like you're going back to like the
discovery stage.
Yeah, and you're talking like your memories from the past, basically like trying to like relive.
Yeah.
Because it always brings back those good memories, right?
And we had so much free time then.
Yeah.
Now we've got kids and everything else. It's so different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And there's the swing too in the park. There's so many. There's so many little spots. So I think I think anywhere you'll find a little special spot. We used to always love to. We used to skateboard. My husband bought me longboards a long time. So we used to longboard.
Big skater over here.
And I'd have my backpack, and then we'd have a little picnic in between the longboarding. I don't know, like my knees aren't as strong as then, but that would be a fun date night too. Just go and show up at wineries with your little skateboard.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I get pretty
it's
tired
cool.
pretty easy after a couple glasses of wine. I don't think I'd be like, can somebody like Uber
Especially
skateboarder?
down by the McFarlane House, there's like this really steep hill.
Yeah.
Like,
We did the pedal pub. Were you guys there?
Yeah. For Rebel. Yeah.
On the way back, it was tough. I'm like, I'm just getting out. Uber, come on, somebody pick me
Well,
up.
were you on ours or on the opposite one?
On the opposite one. I was doing all the work with me and Gil.
We got pretty competitive there.
Yeah, I bet you.
We were giving it.
Yeah. Anyways, this has been fantastic. I love the passion.
Yeah.
I love, how the words you were using, the way you were describing everything, it really helped paint a picture. How I could appreciate wine a little bit more.
Good.
So thank you very much for your time
Are
today.
any of these available right now? Because we're the first to try the Brut.
This will be available. So this is available for a sneak peek this weekend. And then it's going to be available as soon as the other one sells out. And I'm anticipating that'll be in May.
Okay.
And this one, sparkling wine sales have been really, really good. And so I think this is going to probably hit the market just in time for Easter again. And the flavor profile and the style is very similar to the previous one. That's why it's the non-vintage product. But even so, every vintage is sort of different. And I've tried a little things to kind of add a little bit more elegance to it. And I prefer this one to the other one. I shouldn't say that, but
Yeah. Well, I guess I don't even know that answer. I don't even know what to say.
Yeah. No, so May. Yeah.
So
well,
maybe you can get these, maybe you can't.
No, this
you
is
can go to Ravine.
Something around this Easter. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. We've got like always some new donut or something.
Yeah.
Some new feature.
Well, you got
should be
donuts?
going
Yeah,
to Ravine
I
every
didn't
week.
know about
And
that.
every week you'll find out. So
Yeah.
I have a feeling like this is going to come out in April and this will be in May. And
Yeah.
But you should
Nice.
still pop by.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
Because
pop
there'll
by
be
Ravine.
other things coming.
Yeah, there might be something different every time you go.
Yeah.
Well, I know
Sounds like.
what we're trying to do is we're trying to make, now that things have sort of changed in terms of restrictions, we really want to capture and make your experience at Ravine and maximize your time really special. And you guys are coming in at a really good time where there are new reserves being released and pre-releases, and there's always something happening. And so like anytime you go, there's always going to be something new, something fun for you to experience. And I think it's like a place where, and I think the Harbors love this. This is why they love their farm, and it's going to be a legacy property, and it'll be, in the family forever. But it really is supposed to be like a stop in the community, just where you can always go and grab a glass or a bite, and there's always going to be something new offered to you. So that's
awesome.
not a sales pitch. That's just me speaking from the heart.
Yeah.
Well, you know
But that
what,
is
though?
the
You're speaking from the heart.
experience there.
It can be like a nice date night, but it's also like you're hungry and it's lunchtime and you stop in and
So it doesn't have to be anything necessarily special.
yeah. I feel like they catered to everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And our bread is really good.
Yeah.
And so I'm saying this because I've given up bread for Lent, and I've smelt the bakery this morning, and we have an amazing baker. And so it's so tempting, but you see the new sourdough or the latest rye or the baguette, and like, let's say you're just cycling through and you want to do, but you have your backpack, grab a baguette, grab a couple cheeses. We have some really awesome cheese selections that are becoming available. Like, what more do you need? You just bread, cheese, and there's even some nice pingway prosciutto. You're all set. You grab, like, what do you need? I don't know.
Yeah.
For me, I think that's like a perfect day.
Yeah.
And then, like, our ciders are really good too. I kind of hit the ciders more during grass cutting season.
Yeah, something on a nice hot day.
Yeah.
Want some ice.
But, there's something also comforting and pub-like of the apple cider right now, that where I have it, with like the damp and the dark night, I like it too. So, but there's something,
Something for
there's
everyone.
always
Long story
something,
short.
Yeah. But,
That was awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming.
Yeah.
No problem.
really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.